Hi guys, my name's Niko. I sing and play guitar in a band called Now in Colour, and this is what I've been up to this week. Well, it is a miserable, rainy winter day here in Sydney, so I am going to stay inside and make music. So I got a couple of new things here. Firstly, I got a keyboard stand for this old mini keyboard that I've had for years. Joe from Now in Colour very graciously lent me his keyboard stand because he doesn't need to use it right now. So hopefully you'll see me trying and failing to play piano in some of the videos. And this other thing is this Ducky 1 keyboard here that has a nice little color gradient on the top from red to blue, one side to the other. This is a mechanical keyboard with red switches under the keys, which basically just means that it's a little bit quieter than some of the other mechanical keyboards, and so I don't annoy my housemates. So just a quick update on how the Now in Colour record's going. We've got like 4 songs that are completely finished in terms of the arrangement and the composition, and they just need to be recorded, obviously. Those 4 are Drift, which we released earlier, the Thor, which is the little minimalist electronic one that you might have heard a bit of, Love Don't Fail Me Now, which is the big shuffle that has the kind of mandolin style folky guitar going on, and the Hourglass, which is a new one that I might have played a little bit of here and there in videos. So as well as those 4 which are done, there's Yeti, which is about 75% of the way there probably, and it's a really, it's a big, epic, like long concept song. It's like 10 minutes, and it's like a story about a person that, I'll explain, the whole story behind it and stuff after the song comes out, but that's going really well, and we're super excited about that one. And as well as that, there are 2 songs that aren't really that well developed yet. They're kind of just much heavier, but at the moment they're just like a big riff and some ideas later, a chorus here and there, that kind of thing. So the record's looking like it's going to be 7, 8 or 9 tracks, I think. But even though that sounds short, compared to Even in Dreams, which was 15, the record's still going to be 45 minutes to an hour, I think, because the songs in general are just much longer. I mean, that's progressive rock, I guess. No, we just wanted to try and make some longer songs, have some longer instrumental sections where we can, like, really get into it live and that kind of stuff. So in addition to that, I might have talked about this before, but I'm trying to buy music much more often. In fact, I'm trying to buy something every week, basically. Buy an album, or even just, a couple of bucks on something on Bandcamp, that kind of thing. And it's been so great for me so far. I've been building up a library of music that I can go to, and I know what I want to listen to, rather than just feeling like I don't know what I even want to listen to when I go to streaming sites, that kind of thing. And I also really feel like I'm supporting the artists, and all of that warm, fuzzy feeling. But because of that, I've actually decided that I'm going to do a kind of short video series called This Week I Bought Something, to basically talk about music that I bought this week, what I enjoyed about it, why I decided to purchase it, who the artists are, and that kind of thing. So on Thursday, I'll put out a video that is going to be called This Week I Bought Similarities by Biffy Clyro, and I'm going to talk about one of my favorite, probably my favorite Biffy Clyro album that I decided to buy because I had only ever listened to it through streaming services before, and I wanted to support them and, own it, have it be part of my library. We also get pretty serious rain here and wind in winter, as you can hear. So if you follow me on social media or any of that stuff, you probably will have heard this clip from this song, this heavier riff that we've been working on for this new Now in Colour song. It goes like this. this is like a cool little numerical pattern, I guess, that I've wanted to use, or something similar to this that I've wanted to use for a long time. So it's nice to be able to, you know, be in a band where I can do this kind of stuff and it doesn't come across as really out of place. So the pattern, if you listen to it, it's like it's just that repeated, and that's actually the little groupings in there are like 1 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2. So it goes from 1 2 3 4 5 and then back 4 3 2 1 like that in reverse, which, you know, ends up sounding like 1 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2. So that's just like a cool little thing. I don't know if you would have, like, I'm sure it's like relatively simple, I guess, in the scheme of things to recognize, but I like it a lot, and it just adds a bit of interest because it's easy to, like, you know, bob your head to something like that, and while playing guitar as well. But it's a little bit more complicated, and it means that the riff doesn't get too stale because it does have to repeat quite a number of times to go through that whole, the chord progression's quite long. Another one, there are a couple of interesting things that I wanted to show you guys actually. So the intro that I did for this, wow, it is absolutely bucketing down outside. It is so raining so hard. I hope that it's not coming through too much in the microphone on the camera, but we'll see. So the intro to this song is also pretty interesting as well. You would have heard that just at the beginning. It's like that fast snare drum part and the little electronic droplet sounds, like. And then that goes into the big riff, and obviously it's just the same pattern. But if you listen to the drums specifically, I have created something that unfortunately it is quite difficult to play because it's hitting on every one of those 16th notes. So you can hear the in the drum part here if I just isolate it. But the problem is that, as well as that, it's got all those 16th notes in the middle, so the drum part on the snare drum is like that. It's that quick, and that's actually super hard to play on the snare drum, especially seeing as all the accents are in the right hand. But Jasper is amazing at drums, so I'm sure he will figure it out somehow. But I'm sort of being known as the guitar player who creates these impossible drum parts, which I'm sure is very common these days, given what superior drums and stuff can do. I might actually just turn the camera around so that you can see some of these synth bits. So, these bits here, dark pad, broken chiffer, droplets, they're basically just a synth pad that sits in the background underneath that riff. So pretty standard if you listen to the guitar. Just follows the chords like that. Something interesting, if you're not a producer yourself and you haven't seen this kind of stuff before, if we just listen to this sound in particular, or these two, this one's probably better. Hear how it's like the volume's going like that? Often you hear that in like dance music. That's called using a side-chained compressor. So basically I have this track up here which just plays just a kick drum, right? All it does is a kick drum on 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can hear that as the kick drum comes in, the little synth pad thing, the volume goes down. So you get that whir, whir, whir kind of effect. And then if I mute the kick drum, you just get the synth doing those little volume swells like that. And I really like that effect, even if it's very subtle, in the background of something like as extreme as... What I find is that it just, it really pushes the song along in a way that you don't really notice, but it just gives it a bit more energy. Another cool thing that I managed to do in this one, you can see these 3 tracks here. So they're labeled as Steinway Grand Piano Loud, Outer Loud, Synth, and Wookiee Bass. Basically, I just created a single instrument out of these 3 different instruments combined together. These 3 tracks are all the same. They're just duplicated. So if we just solo that first one, you can hear how it sounds. It's just a piano with a lot of reverb. And a weird compressor on it that makes it distorts the sound. I actually think there might even be an overdrive. There is. There's an overdrive pedal and also a pitch shifter that's doubling it at a different octave. But anyway, that's how that little piano thing sounds by itself. And then this little synth part. So you can hear it's got some little distorted crackling in there and lots of reverb. It just beautiful long ringing notes. And then I've got this last bit, which is this synth, usually would be a synth bass, but I just use it to get a bit of articulation so the notes stand out. Yeah, it goes tick, 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 like that. It's just so the notes sound, the hits sound a bit louder up front, and you can distinguish when this instrument is actually playing. So hearing them all 3 together sounds like this. Pretty cool, right? And then, of course, in the background with all the other instruments, the second time that the riff comes in, you can hear it in the background there. Anyway, that's what I've been up to on this song. Sounding pretty good, I think.